Okay, so I want this video to serve as a easier way for a lot of people to understand what is going on right now with my dad. So today is Saturday, April 7th, and 3 days ago my dad had a heart attack. So I'm going to explain to you all what happened, what has been going on, where we've been, so that you can have a little bit more than the details that I've written out. And do note that this is going to be as of Saturday night, April 7th, and no further. So if anything does change, I will hopefully update or make a different video to explain what's going on. So first, on Wednesday, I was coming home to go to an observatory conservation place with my cousins. My mom was supposed to come with me, and my dad at about noon gets home. He goes, I don't feel very well. His chest was hurting. Now, the night before, he did have some chest pains and did have some, he just didn't want to eat a steak, was complaining it was too rich. He also had some shots that day, so he did think that the shots were giving him this pain, as well as he had ridden his bike Monday or Saturday, yeah, Tuesday and Sunday for 26 miles and then 16 miles on Tuesday. So part of it was he felt maybe he was exhausted. So there was a lot of factors that kind of got him not to say he wasn't feeling great. He went to bed, woke up the next morning, complained about the chest pains, but was feeling better in the morning. Ended up going to breakfast with my sister, did some stuff, and came home at noon and was in tons of pain. My mom called his cardiologist and saw him rolling on the bed and just called 911. We're very fortunate that there's a fire station just 5 minutes from us. They showed up right away. I was not there for this, my mom was, but she said there was 9 firefighters. They all helped him out. Side note, they came and he was actually on the toilet, which hindsight turns to a really good thing, because he was able to release his bowels before surgery, making it making surgery and everything. It's good, because there could have been a lot of other complications if he pooped during surgery. So we're glad that his bowels were working properly. Now, they carried him out. He was carried on a stretcher. I saw him as they were going into the van. I had no idea what was going on. Nobody really explained to me. My mom was very vague on what was going on. So I texted her, do you want me to come with? She said yes. We get to the hospital. He is on a table. He's got incredible pain. They said, what's your pain level? And he said about an 8 or a 9. Honestly, I think he was more at a 9, 10. He said, I love you, to me and my mom, and was rushed off into the next room to get a heart cath. So what this was doing is they were sending a balloon up there to kind of view what was going on with his heart. So this took a while, and then the doctor comes out and says, the doctor here, the cardiologist, and started to explain to us that my dad 100% had a heart attack. So already we're very freaked. He explains to us, we don't know the severity of the damage. We're going to do a little bit more to see, but I want you to be prepared. There is a chance your father won't make it. Hearing this is nothing a family ever wants to hear. And my sister, by the way, my sister made it to the hospital shortly after my dad went back. So we're all sitting there, and it was nervous. It was very hard for us, because we have no idea what's going on. There's no way we can. It's inside of his body. It's in his heart. So for us, we're trying to cope that we are just told he might die right now. And it's so sudden. This is only 3 hours, 2 or 3 hours after he was admitted. The second time he came out, he told us the problems that were going on. So first he has, so there was a blocked valve. There was buildup from cholesterol near the heart. There was a second valve that was having an issue. There was he has one part in his heart that, so it's a circle, and usually they have 3 splits. His only has 1. He was born with this, and then he has a leaky valve. So he's got a lot of complications. And so they were saying this is going to be a very tough surgery. He was going to need a double bypass to be able to, as well as the other surgeries that he was going to need later on. But they said, we're already in there, we're going to do these surgeries because it will help him in the long term. So they said we can't do it at this hospital. By the way, the hospital we went to was at Frank Lloyd Wright and, Thompson Peak and Scottsdale Road. And the reason for that was it was 5 minutes away. So it was the closest hospital, and it was better than going 20 minutes to Shea and 92nd, which is where the cardiology top area to be. They said we need a special ambulance to get him to there. So we waited for about an hour. They got the ambulance. He got in there. We all kind of split up in Concord to get, first before that, they left for the hospital, my mom's sister and I gave him a kiss goodbye. Mind you, he is completely unconscious at this point. They did knock him out. They transported him to the hospital. Me and my sister went and got supplies, blankets, tons of stuff, because we didn't know how long the surgery was. A normal bypass surgery takes around 3 hours, but he's got double bypass and a few other surgeries, so we have no idea. This could take 4 hours, it could take 16 hours. So we're preparing for 16 hours just in case. So we get to the hospital. At this moment, we have still very little knowledge. The doctor comes out who's going to perform the surgery, Dr. Kirshner, and he is asking my mom questions of, are you okay if we put in a mechanical valve or a tissue valve? Now, the difference between the two is a tissue valve is going to be more natural, but it, after 10 years, needs to be replaced. This is a little bit better, but it has that 10 years down the road. Now, a mechanical valve is going to never have to be replaced, but my dad would have to be on blood thinners the rest of his life. Not ideal, but in this situation, the doc said, are you okay if I do a game time decision? And we said, absolutely. When you get in there, if you think it's the mechanical, do the mechanical, if whatever. So doctor says, okay, comes back later once me and my sister are there. He says, I'm going to go into surgery shortly. An hour later, a nurse comes and says they went into surgery 5 minutes ago. So we timed it from there. Tons of family, tons of friends there, really supporting us, helping us through this time. Now, mind you, this is about 8 o'clock in the evening. So we've had I had very little eat. My mom had hardly anything. My sister had hardly anything. Pretty much I was drinking water and eating shitty pizza to try and just have enough nutrients to make it through the night. I couldn't eat. And I never feel this way. So it was tough. It was the most emotionally enduring thing I've ever had to experience. And I know that my sister and my mom can agree. We sat for 4 hours not knowing if my dad would make it. And I have to tell you, it's not reassuring when for 4 hours you don't hear anything. You know, they say no news is good news, but we're trying to justify, well, they're in the zone, they're whatever, and it's just all you can think is, what are they going to say? One thing I don't think people understand is all that was going through my mind was I had like three thoughts. One was, if they come out and say, he didn't make it, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to deal with a will, deal with so many other things taking over a very big life that he leads. My dad does a lot for our family, and I'd be taking that role. The other thought was, you need to stay positive, and you need to think about the stuff that's good, and think of all the good memories and keep that good energy. And then the other was really putting into place the positive thoughts of, he's gonna make it, and seeing him through to the end. It took a lot of energy, and I was staying very strong for the entire surgery. And so after the 4 hours, he came out and he said the surgery went well. Or sorry, he didn't say the surgery went well. He said the surgery is done. Everything went according to plan. We still need to get him off of the machines and over to the actual, actually get his heart pumping on its own. So we sat for another, I think, 3 hours until he came out, and he said he's, in a sense, going to make it. For me, I burst into tears. And it wasn't tears of sadness, it was tears of happiness. I sat for so many hours trying to be strong, trying to be together, and it was as if a waterfall of emotions came out. And after that, we were able to go back about an hour after they cleaned up everything, to see him. Wires everywhere. He was set up for dialysis. It wasn't on yet. He had a pump near his, a balloon near his heart to help pump. Tons of medication, tons of things to help him stabilize. So at about 4 a.m, we all finally went to bed, and they said, get some rest, come back in the afternoon. He will be there, we'll call you if we need you. So I think we all slept till about 1 o'clock, I think 11 o'clock, and got there around 1 o'clock, because they said they would try and wake him up at that time to see his abilities. They said to us in the morning, they checked his cognitive abilities, and he was able to move his feet, move his hands, move his eyes. I believe he answered some questions. I don't know fully on that, but essentially his brain function was there. Now, during the surgery, no blood ever stopped to the brain, so there is no full concern. Everything I'm saying is all speculation. We don't know anything for sure, but his brain function should be normal. And we all hope so, because we know that my dad doesn't shut up, and if that ever changes, it's going to be a very sad day, because he's got a lot to say. And I know right now, after like 3 days of not talking, he's got a lot to say. So that morning they put him on dialysis, which was planned, really. They set him up for it because during a trauma like this, it is very common for the kidneys to have acute kidney failure. Reason for this is just not enough blood, and they fail. Dialysis should not be a permanent thing for him. It is only right now a thing to help him out, to get his kidneys back, and the kidneys take a very long time to heal. So it's not something quick and fast. So that morning, he was pretty stable. Now, we kept visiting him, and he was awake enough where he could hear us. My mom said, "Hey, it's me," and his eyes opened up. He knew we were there, and we were starting to agitate him. and nothing bad. This was not something that they had planned for, but we were putting a lot of strain on him just because he was trying to move, trying to breathe on his own, and not letting his body rest. And they said, his levels are dropping, we need to put him in paralysis. So for us, paralysis is not something anybody wants to hear, and we are a bit nervous because this is saying it's a medically induced coma. The nurse said, I'm going to put him in it and come back in an hour and I'll let you know where we're at. And so 1 hour, like, she was the only person to be fully on time. Hour later, she was there, and his vitals went from 60% oxygen levels to 73. So it was working. She said, you guys need to go home. You need to get some rest. This was about, I want to say 6 o'clock. And so we went home. The biggest thing she said is, you need to be home because you are right now the decision maker for your husband. You need to be in good care so that if you need to make a decision, you're in a good mental state, and which is very true. We went home. Me, my sister, Zach watched a very stupid movie, which was nice to have a no-nonsense movie just watching. So after that, and then my mom went to bed, and she slept for 11 hours. So thankfully, she really got that rest she needed. The next morning, we got there early in the morning, about 8 o'clock, or 8:30 or so, because that's when they said they'd be there. And so now, mind you, do note that there is always one nurse with my dad at all times. It's a 1-to-1. Usually there's 2, just because there's one for cardio and one for, I believe, the dialysis, and they really work together very well. It's new people a lot of the times because they work in 2 different shifts during the day and during the night, but the notes are so extensive that they know exactly what's going on, and they're so routine with this that there's no worry ever of who is being the nurse then. So this is Friday morning. I think this was one of the more difficult bumps for us. So the start of the day was very good. They said that they were lowering some medication. They had lowered the amount of beats. So the pump, or the balloon near the heart, was assisting every 2 beats, and they changed it to every 3 beats, which was very good. They were doing a lot of things. And then at about a little bit after 1 or 2 in the afternoon, they decided to take out the balloon. Reason for this was keeping the balloon near the heart had a lot more risks than rewards at this time, because it's there to assist, but it's not there as a permanent fixture. So keeping it there could do a lot of damage to the lower extremities, could really make a big issue. I think there was a few other side effects that were just not good. And so the doctor was like, I'm gonna make a decision shortly of whether we keep it or not. He decided to remove it. First hour went very good. His vitals were up, everything was good, and then he started to tank. And this got very nervous because we were very happy all day. And now, mind you, the doctors told us it's going to be ups and downs, but as long as it's on an upward trajectory, we should be good. And you forget that there are downs. And so we got very nervous. My mom was incredibly nervous because they said we need to do put in the system called ECMO, ECMO. Now what ECMO does is it is taking, so there's 2 versions of ECMO. There's a version where it helps for your heart, and so hold on, your heart and your lungs. The other version is strictly the lungs. What this machine does is it is taking directly the blood that is unoxygenated, and it is taking out the carbon dioxide and pumping in oxygen and putting it right back into the body. It has a constant feed of oxygen that is coming straight through a pipe in the wall, so it's never ending. There is an emergency tank on it. It is constantly going at all times. You can very clearly see the two different blood tracks. So there is very dark, thick blue blood, or dark red, and with a little bit of blue, and then there's very light unoxygenated blood. Now, this procedure only takes about 30 minutes. They said we're gonna do the surgery right in his room. They came in, it took him an hour and a half, about 30 minutes to set up, 30 minutes for the surgery, and 30 minutes to break down. During this time, my mom was very nervous. Just, we were on such a high, and then all of a sudden we got this bad news. I was nervous myself. I got into my head, you know, what if he doesn't make it? And at the time I did not understand what ECMO was. Knowing it now, there's no worry. It's actually a very, not common, but it is a routine device for emergency situations. So it is something that is very well known in the cardiology division and things like that, that it is an emergency situation, but it is very understood and very known, and something we should have never worried about. As soon as they came out, said everything was good, once again I had a rush of emotions because I was trying to be strong. I got very nervous, but was able to release it, and everybody was happy. I think almost instantly once they put it in, his vitals went back up from about 70% oxygen to 98. Now, understand with the oxygen levels, the key here is the blood is, you know, sending all of the platelets, all the healing components to it, and the higher the oxygen level, the better the healing is going to be. So ECMO, as tough, and honestly, I will be real with everybody, it is not the prettiest machine he is on. It's pretty gross. But it allows for very oxygen-rich blood to be in the body to heal the rest of the body. Something to understand is the doctor said when you, let's say you hit your arm with a hammer, he said it takes about 3 days to get the most inflamed it would be. After that, the body starts to go down and it heals. Now, he said your dad's body had a hammer to his whole body, and it's going to take 3 days for him to really calm down, which would be tomorrow, Sunday. So having the rich oxygen blood really helps to allow his organs, his body, everything to heal properly. Also, the huge thing it does is it allows the ventilator, he's got a tube in his throat right now helping him breathe, be turned off and allow his lungs to rest. This helps with the heart, helps with the lungs, and so the ECMO is doing all that work for the lungs and help replenishing the body. So once that was put in, we did finally get home at about 11:30, went to bed about 1 in the morning. And then the next morning, this morning, we got there, I believe about 11 o'clock or 11:30, 12, and everything was good today. The ECMO is doing its job. It's helping tremendously. So things to kind of, to wrap it all up so people understand what has gone on. My dad had a heart attack. He had double bypass and a few other surgeries. He escaped death. He went up, he went down, he went up, he went down, and he's up. The ECMO is healing his body, and if you're concerned about his heart, do know his heart is functioning on its own. He's at 80 beats per minute. His blood pressure is on average about 100 over, I think, 50 or 60, constantly every time we go there. His heart is truly working. My mom felt it, and I did too, and he's gonna make it. So that is kind of the full video of what has been going on. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, want to just wish us well, want to send us pictures, funny stories, anything you want to send us, feel free to text me personally. My number is 480-220-3201. You can text or call me. Or what really we'd love for everybody to do is send wishes, send anything you would like, prayers, positive thoughts, pictures, stories, anything to lorschfamily@gmail.com. And I'll put a link to it in the description below. As much positive energy as we can will really help, and making sure that we are sending those vibes to my dad. He's going to make it, and he is going to be alive to complain about his new diet and his new life, but I'd rather have that than not have him at all. Thank you all for your support, for your love, and for everything you guys are doing, and we really appreciate it. And I will talk to you all soon. All right, night.